This season preview is brought to you by Manscaped's brand new Ultra Premium 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. This luxurious lather cleanses and nourishes in just one step. Using coconut water, green tea, and aloe, this non-greasy daily formula is naturally hydrating and rich in antioxidants to revitalize the look and feel of your hair. So head on over to manscaped.com and use the promo code SACCITY for 20% off and free worldwide shipping. The new Ultra Premium 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner from Manscaped. Take care of hair everywhere.
We're now going to move on to the Minnesota Vikings and their season preview. AJ, I'll start with you on the offensive side of the ball. New look offense, possibly. You know how we've talked about it before. O'Connell comes in, takes over this offense. Kirk Cousins still there. Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. Lots of weapons. What does this offense actually look like this season?
You know, when you think about it, Kirk Cousins being at 99 might give a little fire to this season because there's going to be a lot on his shoulders again. I mean, all the dude does is throw for 4,000 yards, and now you're entering into an offense that they are going to air the ball out. Justin Jefferson is excited to have a lot of fun. Adam Thielen is going to be trying to get back to his old ways. You look at what Kevin O'Connell did with the Rams last season. They were a top 5 passing offense. They would have been the year before, but no disrespect, they had Jared Goff and fell out of the top 10. I think that they're going to be looking to throw this ball all over the field. You got guys who are going to be given opportunities to make plays. KJ Osborne is going to be in the mix. You got BC Johnson in training camp excited because you're like, they're going to throw the ball. I might get some opportunity. I think you're going to look at Dalvin Cook, who's going to have a different type of year. I don't think he's going to have to run the ball as much. Obviously, it is a factor. You have to run the ball to keep these defenses honest, but you're not going to be seeing him have 300 carries, I don't think. I think you're more likely going to see him challenge his career highs of like 53 receptions. I think you can see him hit that 60 mark, a little bit higher than that. I think they use him in a little different ways to keep showing his receiving talent as a complete football player. So I think Kevin O'Connell is going to be opening up the playbook and opening up the passing offense that is this new NFL anyways. It's like the three-pointer in the NBA. Let's throw the ball all over the place, and Kevin O'Connell that's what he wants to do with this offense. And I think if Kirk Cousins can show he can keep doing it, maybe next season you'll see him supplant Mac Jones finally.
Yeah. Wow, what a world. What a world.
Vinny?
No.
I love the picture. Because You know what that is right there? You know what that is? That's Justin Jefferson at the end of 2022. You know what he's doing that for? He's looking for all the people that said they were going to throw the ball more in this offense. He's going to be like, I thought I was going to get the ball more. What is this blasphemous talk about the Minnesota Vikings throwing the ball more than they did before? Do you know what? Last year, the Rams threw the ball 600 times. Matt Stafford threw the ball 600 times. You know how much Kirk Cousins threw? Like 570 times. That's like 1 or 2 more passes a game is what the Rams threw. We act like this guy's going to come in and throw the ball 50 times a game. It's not going to happen. They are going to run Dalvin Cook. They are going to run a lot of play action, and they are going to look for this guy, Justin Jefferson, and they're going to find him and Adam Thielen. There is not going to be some significant change in the way the Minnesota Vikings are running offense. It is so funny to hear people talk in training camp about how much they're going to throw the ball, what they're going to do, all these different things. Do you guys realize this is the talk every NFL offseason? Every time there's a coaching change, every single move that's made in the NFL is nitpicked. Players saying, oh, this offense is going to be great for us. We're going to do special things. Again, I remember the Baltimore revolutionary offense that they talked about, and then all it is the read option and throw it to the tight end. And what kind of revolution was that? I am tired of hearing how much the Vikings are going to throw the ball. You have Dalvin Cook in your backfield. They're going to hand the ball off to Dalvin Cook. And he's going to be really, really good again this year. And is Kirk Cousins going to throw the ball 1 or 2 more times a game? Maybe. But that's not going to change what the Minnesota Vikings offense was because they already had a great offense. Kirk Cousins has done 4,000 yards damn near 7 straight years. He's not going to throw for 5,000 yards this year. I don't think any of us are saying that. What you said? Why not?
Why not? Why not? Why can't he throw for 5,000 yards? He has the offense talent to do it.
Can you?
1 or 2 more times a game, we're talking 30, 40
5,000 yards.
I'm sorry?
Name the quarterbacks in history to throw for 5,000 yards, AJ.
I mean, I guess they're Hall of Famers, but you're talking about a guy.
There's not many of them, is what I'm saying. It's not. You act
Tom
like
Brady
it just
did it
happens.
last season. I don't act like it just happens.
But you're saying why not? I'm telling you why not, because why not says history says why not. The guys don't just come in and throw for 5,000 yards.
I swear you got to be like 50, bro, because you only care about history. You never care about what could happen. Like, you're talking about a guy who's done it at 4,000 yards every single year. You don't think he can take the next step again? Yeah, so what? He's a little older than most. Doesn't mean if you bring in a different guy who has a different look for the offense, you don't think that there's a possibility that they can put the ball in his hands a little bit more and he can play a better season than he had the year before?
He threw for 4,200 yards. You're asking him to throw for 800 more yards in that offense?
Okay. I mean, let's see. A rookie by the name of Joe Burrow had back-to-back games with over 400 yards. So,
and how many yards did Joe Burrow throw in the season?
I don't know. That's not the point. 800 yards can happen in 2 weeks. 800 yards could happen in 2 weeks.
But AJ, so the optimist view of you says it can happen. It can happen. Okay. Do you want me to bow down and say, yes, it could happen? Absolutely. If something special happened, it could happen. Jameis Winston did it. He threw for 5,000 yards. Wow, it could happen. But if you're going to take it could happen over the history of the NFL happening that many times, then you're going to be on the wrong side more times than not. So I'm not going to bow down and waver to, oh, it could happen, because I've watched the NFL for like a 50-year-old for a really long time, including the 17-game seasons, and it's not happening. Guys like Justin Herbert, guys like Josh Allen, those dudes are barely throwing for 5,000 if they're doing it. And you're talking about the best quarterbacks in the league. And now you're talking about Kirk Cousins, player number 99, and you're just going to come out and say he's going to have a 5,000-yard season out of nowhere? Like, that doesn't make sense. But when you say he could, guess what? Ezekiel Elliott could run for 2,000 yards this year. Alvin Kamara could catch run for 1,000 and catch for 1,000. Like, of course, all these things could happen. But that's not the point. It's not about whether you could get it or not. How much is Kevin O'Connell going to change this offense to make it to where we look at Kirk Cousins and says, that's a dude that's probably going to throw for 5,000 yards? I don't see that. And I don't know how we look at any offense that he ran in with the Rams and say that he's going to do that. What did you see from Matt Stafford last year? And by the way, Matt Stafford's a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins, who only threw for 4,800 yards in 600 attempts. Matt Stafford with Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham and Robert Woods to start the year and Van Jefferson. He had a lot of weapons as well, and he threw for 4,800 yards. And now we're going to come out and say all of a sudden Kirk Cousins is going to go crazy and throw for 5,000. I don't get it. What more can the Vikings be? Their offense is already really good. Is it going to be really good again? Yeah. But why are we talking about an offense that's already really good?
Because I see teams growing, not staying the exact same. If they were going to stay the exact same, they wouldn't have got rid of their coach. The point was to get better in all facets of the game.
That's team-wise, yes, but their offense wasn't the problem.
Yeah, but you're not going to say, hey, we don't got to worry about the offense. We're just going to keep it the same. You're going to come in and do different things.
That's not what I said.
Just because you don't say the exact same words doesn't mean it doesn't ring the same way.
It doesn't, because I didn't say that the offense couldn't get better or couldn't produce or what. Like, that's not why they made a coaching change. Their coaching changes because they couldn't win. You can have a great offense and not win. Mike Zimmer was there for years. The offense has been good. They didn't win. If Kevin O'Connell comes in and that offense plays the exact same, and the only difference is the defense, and they win games, then everybody's going to point to what? What are they going to point to? Are they going to point to that same offense, or are they going to point to the defense that played a lot better? Because Minnesota has one of the top offenses every year. Every year Kirk Cousins does this. He puts up great hollow numbers, and they don't win football games. So what is going to make Minnesota better this year? Is it going to be Kevin O'Connell changing that offense? Because I'm telling you, I don't think it's going to be that. I don't think this offense changes that much.
All right. I mean,
I get it. Everybody's enamored with the weapons. Everybody's enamored with the weapons, but to me, they're the same weapons. Justin Jefferson's broken records. Adam Thielen, double-digit touchdowns. Dalvin Cook running crazy every year. What is going to be better? How could they possibly, offensively, really get that much better?
I mean, I could say things, but you'd hate it because it'd be bringing up other guys who are also going to get opportunities. And now we're talking about Alexander.
No,
are you kidding?
You can bring up Irv Jones and KJ Osborne and those guys.
Irv Smith.
Every time they're throwing to those guys, you guess who's not getting the ball? Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook. But that's my point.
Damn. I mean, that could be the difference for Kirk Cousins right there. The fact that other guys are also getting the opportunities. I'm just saying. It is not out of the realm of possibility. I'm sorry. I can't say. I like what Kevin O'Connell came from, having those type of weapons at the Rams, and then a guy who I believe you and I think is better than Cooper Kupp and a Justin Jefferson. And maybe no, he won't put up the numbers that Cooper Kupp did last season because that was astronomical. I will give the Rams that. But having this spread of weapons again, and then being the head of this whole thing, I like the opportunity. I like the chance.
I guess all I'm saying is when we talk about like milestones, and we can get close. There's guys that have been close 48, 49. Like he's been close. Kirk Cousins is actually throwing for 4,900 yards in his career before. And I'm not saying, like I said, but when you talk about the quarterbacks that throw for 5,000 yards, and we just let that just roll off our tongue, outside of Jameis Winston's fluky of a season, crazy of a season, it's guys like Dan Marino, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. Kirk Cousins isn't that. I don't even know how we're even having this debate. It's Kirk Cousins.
I'm very happy that we now have back-to-back years where the Minnesota Vikings have given us just a golden line. And I'm not saying I'm not
want to go here because I was gonna tell everybody I'm not laughing at the Minnesota Vikings this year because I actually do think they are going to be a better football team.
And AJ didn't necessarily say Kirk Cousins is going to throw for 5,000.
I know.
But it is just golden that we can have back-to-back years of Sack City podcasts of having Dylan last year saying that, well, he actually committed to saying the NFC Championship game would feature the Minnesota Vikings. At least AJ didn't fully go full frittata and say he's going
he just said why not. The optimist of AJ gives everybody the benefit of the doubt.
Oh, my biggest fear here is now that Kirk Cousins is going to have a turd of a year, and then next season I'm going to have the Carson Wentz hanging over me.
We can have a Kirk Cousins, Carson Wentz turd graphic together. Oh, that'd be fantastic. That's what I'm hoping.
As long as he doesn't have a lot of Monday night football games or primetime games, he might throw for 6,000. No, stop.
Exactly. Oh, wow. Oof. All right, let's go to the defensive side of the ball because that is what actually really has a lot of people's attention on the Minnesota Vikings because they have been the Achilles heel to the Minnesota Vikings. That has been the problem of the Vikings last season and the seasons prior. Aaron, what player or maybe even what position group has to step up the most for the Vikings defense this season?
Yeah, I talked about the defensive line before, but I'm going to go to the back end, and it's actually really two people that have to step up, and it's sad that this has to be the case. But it's two rookies. It's Lewis Cine and it's Andrew Booth. And the reason they have to step up is because the guys that are in front of them right now, and a Cameron Bynum and a Cameron Dantzler, maybe it's a Cameron thing, they're not very good. And then, so what happens on the back end, you have an older Patrick Peterson, an older Harrison Smith, who really can't do the same things they used to do. They have great veteran leadership, but they can't bring the same kind of level of play that they were bringing in the past. So you have to have some young guys step up and be good. And unfortunately, the secondary in the Minnesota Vikings has been pretty bad. So I'm looking directly to those rookies who maybe they weren't. Andrew Booth wasn't a high pick. He kind of fell a little bit. But I talked about him being perhaps the best corner in the draft at one point in time. And Lewis Cine, we all know the plays he was able to make at Georgia, game-sealing interception against Bama in the national championship. I think those two guys are probably starters by week 4 or week 5. And they have to be the ones to kind of carry this defense. And they don't have to be great. This defense doesn't have to be great. They have a great offense. They just need to be good enough.
Who did you say you talked about as being the best cornerback in the draft?
Andrew Booth.
Mario Goodrich.
No, that was you.
Thank you.
I was kidding.
Okay. Because that was the thing. Because I was like, hold up. I remember
I was like, what?
A guy and you just shitting on him, and for a minute I thought it was Andrew Booth.
Remember? I was like, what?
Okay.
Mario Goodrich isn't even in the league anymore, so I can't.
Come on. I told Vinny that he was smoking trees. Some really good kush.
Yeah. Mario Goodrich really isn't even in the league anymore, so I've lost that one.
Remember, Andrew Booth had the hip injury, which kind of got people to kind of down sour on him. He dropped in the draft. I originally had him going like pick 11. And I thought Minnesota got a steal where they got him. but he has to show out. He has to play that role. Him and Lewisine have to do good things in that secondary, or they're going to have trouble stopping the pass again.
It's coming back to me now. I recall this because he didn't want to hear the Andrew Booth talk. Vinny kind of shat on Andrew Booth a little bit because of Mario Goodrich.
I really wanted Mario Goodrich to be a thing, and it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah,
but AJ, what are we watching for this season with the Minnesota Vikings?
I mean, it's that. it's what can this defense do? We've talked a little bit. I don't want to go back to back on what he's saying here, but we talked about what this offense already is and what they're capable of, what Kevin O'Connell is possibly going to bring. The only Achilles heel is, look, just using all y'all words, the only Achilles heel is their defense. I mean, I'm looking for what Zadarius Smith is going to bring to this defense and how he can change the pass rush and how he can change that linebacking core. And then I'm watching to see if they can actually get back to their playoff winning ways. It's been a minute, but they have it was Case Keenum, of course, but I think this is the type of season that in the NFC North, they can be looking at a wild card playoff berth and try their best after that. So,
how many games last year, like close games last year, did the Minnesota Vikings lose? Does anyone remember?
A lot. It was like 14.
7.
No, the total that was like 14 games. I think something like that decided by 8 points or less. Every game they lost was by like 8 points or less, or some crazy number.
Was it 5 games by a total of 15 or 18 points?
You know what that reminds me of? The Chargers had a season like that a few years ago. And it goes to show, like bad teams find ways to lose. And I'm not saying Minnesota's like completely bad, but that's the NFL, man. A lot of these games are going to be toss-up games, are going to be close. You got to find ways to win. And that's part of Kirk Cousins' problem is he doesn't win those games.
I think that's kind of what I'm looking for. Like not to steal your thunder, AJ, or to adding on to it. That's what I'm watching for with this Minnesota Vikings team is can they finish the job? You just said it. Good teams find ways to win. They just do. Good players, good quarterbacks find ways to get their team into a position to win the game. And that's what I want to see that's what you have to see from the Minnesota Vikings this season is finishing the job, those one possession games being on the right side of it and not because it bothers me. It drives me bananas when like Vikings fans will say we were 3 games or 4 games away from being 13 and 4 or whatever it is. Like, but you lost those games. Like that's what happened. You lost.
Half the teams in the NFL could do that. Half the teams in the NFL could say that at the end of the season.
Anybody could say that. Anybody could say that. Evan Ingram could say, I would be the best tight end in the entire NFL if I just caught those balls that I dropped last season. Like anybody can say that where, if such and such happened, then I would have been great, but it didn't. That's what I want to see from the Minnesota Vikings to say, okay, we're finishing the job. We are winning these games. We are finding ways to win. And maybe O'Connell could be able to bring that type of winning atmosphere to the Vikings coming from Los Angeles, who just obviously won the Super
Bowl. Did you guys happen to catch the Aaron Rodgers interview about who are the toughest defenses he's ever played against, like toughest guys, defensive schemes? You guys Todd, he talked a lot about Todd Bowles, Bucs coach, but the more I listened to him, the more I felt like, you know what? Mike Zimmer was a scapegoat in Minnesota. Aaron Rodgers talked about that the toughest defenses he ever faced were in Minnesota when Anthony Barr, Michael Kendricks were linebacker, and Harrison Smith and those guys, Daniil Hunter and all those guys up front. He said Mike Zimmer's defense was unpenetrable. Like the way he ran his defensive scheme, it caused confusion. He said that's the only guy that's ever made me confused as a quarterback. And then I looked last couple of years at their roster, and I'm like, the Vikings didn't do him any favors. Vikings didn't go out and get defensive talent and provide him the pieces to. And I worry about the same cycle. You go and get an offensive coach now because you felt that was the issue, even though your offense had been pretty good. And now, where does that leave the defense once again? So I'm watching for these rookies. They drafted Brian Asamoah, Caleb Evans, Lewisine, Andrew Booth. Are those guys that are now projected right now as backups? They're going to have to play starter roles by the end of the year. If they're not starting by the end of the year because they're either inexperienced, then this Minnesota Vikings team has no shot. Like their defense has to be the reason that they improve. If it's just, hey, we're scoring more points at the end of the day, I still think they're going to finish where they always do, 9-8, fighting right on the cusp of the playoffs. And maybe they get it, maybe they don't, but then they'll be gone. Like, to me, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
Sack City is now brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming products, precision-engineered tools for those family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 6 million worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer. 20% right now. Go to manscaped.com. Free shipping. Type in the code SACCITY. And if my math correct, that's 12 million balls, Vinny.
So many balls, man. That's so many balls.
So many balls. That's right. The Performance Package 4.0 has arrived, and it's a game changer. Inside the package, you'll find the 4.0 trimmer, the weed whacker, the ear and nose hair trimmer, the ball deodorant, the crop reviver toner to shine those balls up real nice, and you get a pair of boxer briefs. Plus, you get the wonderful newspaper that Vinny's wife likes to read when she's sitting on the toilet. Sorry, Alicia, shout out. Just make sure you go to manscaped.com. Save. You get 20% off. Plus, free shipping. And that paper right there is beautiful. You get that in the package as well. Type in that promo code SACCITY. And again, unlock your confidence. And as always, use the right tools for those family jewels.
Well, let's do that. Let's shift gears and let's do a record prediction, because that's kind of where we're trending towards here. We'll look at their schedule. Get out your handy dandy.
Let me get my sheet.
Yep. Our off season records 9-8, 9-8, 8-9 for myself. Aaron, what does the magical handy dandy notepad say, and are you sticking with it?
Yeah, a little calculations. And I'm staying with 9-8. I think it's going to be an up and down season for the most part of the beginning part of it. Tough games: Green Bay, Philly, New Orleans, Miami at Miami early in the season. That's probably going to be a hot one. And then you go to Arizona and Washington. So they're kind of up and down. They'll win some, they'll lose some. But late in the season, I have them actually going on a run after that Dallas game. After that Dallas game, I think they go on a nice run. They beat New England, the Jets, Detroit, the Giants, Chicago to end the year. So they finish strong, getting them to 9-8. And we'll talk about whether they get in the playoffs or not. But 9-8 will get you in consideration for a playoff spot in the NFC, right? So they'll be right there fighting for that, one of those wild cards. I thought about, a lot of people are picking them to win the division. And a lot of it's because Kevin O'Connell and what they think this offense is going to be. And a lot of people are mad or down on the Green Bay because Devontae Adams is gone. I don't know where that's coming from. I don't. But I have heard a lot of people as picking Minnesota. Colin Cowherd did it. A lot of people picking Minnesota as a dark horse sleeper. I do think they are a playoff caliber team. They can get there if their defense plays a little bit better than they did last year. So that's about where I have them, but not really going any further.
I think the division is very much written how it's going to fall. I mean, I think you're going to see it be the Packers, the Vikings, the Lions, the Bears this year. Vinny, to just go ahead and help you. I'm actually going to bump them one and give them a 10-7 record. I do think some of those close games that happened last year can fall in their favor. The change, and this comes a little bit after what we were talking about in our Arizona Cardinals and Kansas City Chiefs preview. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out on YouTube. I think they can catch Arizona in week 8, and that was a game I originally had them losing because I was thinking about the talent we have seen with Arizona in the past years. But thinking about it more, Arizona didn't really get better. They did a couple things, but they didn't get better. And that's a game that you can see even with that Arizona team that they could have been in contention, that field goal situation near the end. And if that's the case, I think that's something that this team with that talented offense and maybe a defense that's playing energized and focused that week could get the better of an Arizona team that week. So I'm going to bump them one game, give them 10-7, and still fighting for a wild card spot because Green Bay's going to lock up that division.
Yeah, plus you have Kirk Cousins throw for 5,000 yards, so you got to give him an extra win.
It helps.
Don't just be taking all the shit I broke down and give them the surface thought. I put a lot of thought into the reason behind it, so you didn't hear all that.
Big time Kirk Cousins.
Big time Kirk Cousins. God, favorite quarterbacks are Kirk Cousins and Carson Wentz. What a bunch of turds.
Ooh. You know that question. It's like if you could meet any famous guy, Carson Wentz and Kirk Cousins, that'd be the first names out of my mouth.
Gross. I'm gonna pivot. I'm gonna pivot for my record as well on that. I had them 8-9. I do think that I like the additions, the rookie additions from Lewis Cine, Andrew Booth, and the linebacker from Oklahoma, Brian Asamoah. The all good players, all guys that can make an impact, maybe not change the outcome of the game, but together they're going to help this defense be a little bit better than they were last season. I'm going to go from 8-9 and give them that toss-up win to 9-8 for the Minnesota Vikings this season. So 9-8 from me, 9-8 from Aaron, 10-8 or 10-7 from AJ. Let's get into our Vikings prop bets here. Our locked and loaded bets you can take to the bank. I found plus odds for all three Vikings bets here for you gentlemen. Over 9.5 wins, which, well, we just kind of talked about that a little bit. Justin Jefferson leads the NFL in receiving yards at plus 800. And over 9.5 rushing touchdowns for Dalvin Cook. It's at plus 100. Lots of plus odds here. AJ, I'll start with you. Where is your locked and loaded bet going?
I am going back to Dalvin Cook and over 9.5 touchdowns. He was on pace last year before those injuries and the way things went down. I think he can get back to his normal number of 11. That's about where he likes to finish it up. So give me Dalvin Cook getting over 9.5 touchdowns. And since it's total touchdowns, right? Did it say rushing or did it say
rushing touchdown?
Rushing touchdown? Still, give it to me. Give me over 9.5 rushing touchdowns for Dalvin Cook. I think he's going to have himself a good season.
Aaron?
AJ be killing me. First of all, Vinny, screw you. Anyways, Justin Jefferson will lead the NFL in receiving yards. So I'll take that. Lock it in.
Okay. Wait, well, who did you say screw you to? What is this? Me? Why?
Yeah, we'll talk after the show.
All right.
Pull
all right, that's cool. That's cool.
You want to pull it back? Okay, let's pull it back. Hold on. Before the show, I asked Vinny where we put the odds, and then he just changed it for the Vikings in the middle of the damn show. He did it after the schedule.
Yeah. Well,
and now make up your mind.
Hey, as a producer, you gotta. It's fluid, baby. It's fluid. Everything is going with the flow. Okay, our talk. It went perfectly into the schedule. I'm not shifting gears. I'm not changing up the flow. I'm not doing that. Wait till you're working live TV. Yeah, and guess what? I'm not working live TV because I'm not on air. I am behind the scenes. I work.
No, you can't even do that. You can't even just do that as a producer to your on-air talent.
Well, guess what? If I'm producing your work, I'm gonna do that. F you. I'll be in your ear saying, "Hey, switch this shit up."
I would do just like this.
Well, you're fired. You're fired. But okay, so I was interested to see if one of you guys would have taken the plus 800. For Justin Jefferson leading the NFL in receiving yards. I thought that was a good bet to take, but I didn't know if it was like what your bet was earlier, where how you said you refused to give another team like 12 or 13 wins. I didn't know if that would be a same route here with Justin Jefferson.
You're getting plus 800. So plus 800 is a great return for a guy that's been right at the top of the past couple of seasons. And who is he going to – you're looking at the landscape of the NFL. Who's contending? Jamar Chase? There's a lot of weapons there in Cincinnati. Is he going to be able to have one of those 300-yard games like he did at the end of the season to really elevate him to where he got? Really, the only other person we're talking about here is Cooper Kupp. And we all know how I feel about Cooper Kupp. He's great, but that regression is coming with Allen Robinson there. I don't see him doing the same output. Devontae Adams is now in Vegas. We don't even know what that offense is going to look like at this point. What other receivers really? Stephon Diggs is probably the only other guy that I look at and I'm like, yeah, he could have one of those years if Josh Allen and him are just connecting. But Justin Jefferson, I don't know. Justin Jefferson right now, to be honest, to me, he's the number one wide receiver in the NFL. If I started a team with the receiver going forward, I would pick. It's Justin Jefferson. Devontae Adams, I still think is the best receiver. But Justin Jefferson is the one guy I look at. I say, if I was starting a team today, given age and everything, I'm starting with Justin Jefferson.
Could I tempt you in a bet for Justin Jefferson to win offensive player of the year? We've seen MVP normally go to the quarterback position, but then the offensive player of the year normally goes to the running back or wide receiver, like that kind of stuff. Justin Jefferson's odds to win that is plus 1,200. for winning offensive player of the year. Tempt you on
No,
that?
that's too wide of a spectrum. Not only are you counting every receiver, but you're also counting every quarterback and every running back.
Travis Kelce.
No thanks. And Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews or whatever.
Or Mark. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so you're locking in the plus 800 for Justin Jefferson leading the NFL in receiving yards. AJ, you're locking in the plus 100 for over 9.5 rushing touchdowns for Dalvin Cook. That is our odds, our prop bets. We have one last order of business, and that is where the Minnesota Vikings fall on our preseason power rankings, Aaron.
Yeah, they're about middle of the pack. And in this case, we put them a little bit worse than middle of the pack. They're number 17, so just past average. I think this is just a matter of the defense, really. I think that offense is good enough to be a playoff team, to be in contention in the NFC, but I think that defense falls short. And the consensus was power rankings for the preseason. So heading into 2022 is the Minnesota Vikings at number 17.